This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada.
Thank you, Agnes, for introducing the show today. This is Canada, as I see it, show number 79 for April 27th, 2025. So, sometimes I use that date to give you a few notes about what happened in Canada. But lately, I've been doing that because I've been using a few dated references in the podcast. And, well, I need a marker like that to keep things well organized. Well, in my mind anyway, which really seems to be a sieve these days. There are certainly a lot of things going on in Canada lately. We have a federal election tomorrow. Canadians have been flexing their pride a lot more these days because of, well, reasons. And the Toronto Maple Leafs are deeper into a playoff run than they've been for a while. Last night, however, they lost the first game of their first-round series against Ottawa, but they are up 3-1 and face them again on Tuesday at Scotiabank Arena here in Toronto. So, speaking of hockey and pride, we come to a part of the podcast which would not have been spoken about even 10 years ago. Retirement. No, not from a job, although, to tell you the truth, that has been making its way to the front of my mind the last few years. No, I'm talking about the retirement of a professional player's jersey and number. Most pro teams, hockey, football, baseball, whatever, may have one or two numbers of players who made a substantial contribution to a team's success, retired, or teams may choose to retire or honor a number for a reason, one that may be not so nice to think about. One that comes to mind is Johnny Gaudreau, who was hit by an alleged drunk driver with his brother Matthew. He's had his number 13 honored, but not officially retired yet. Up until 2016, Toronto had the normal two. The first was Ace Bailey. He played for the Toronto Maple Leafs for 8 seasons, from 1926 to 1933. His playing career ended when Eddie Shore of the Boston Bruins mistook him for King Clancy. A lot of names here you probably recognize. Unfortunately, yeah, Eddie and King had a feud going on, and Eddie struck Ace Bailey from behind during a game on December 12th, 1933. Bailey fell to the ice and fractured his skull, ending up in a coma for 10 days. He never played professionally again. From this, Shore got a 16-game suspension. The league did, however, set up a benefit game to raise money for Bailey's family the following February, and this was actually the seed that started the annual All-Star Game. This year it was called the Four Nations Tournament, but usually through the years there's been an All-Star Game where the best of the best players get together to show off their skills. Well, during that game in 1934, Ace Bailey's jersey number 6 was retired by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that was the first time that was ever done in professional sports in North America. For a while, he was the only Toronto Maple Leafs player to wear the number 6, until he gave his blessing to a player he truly enjoyed watching, Ron Ellis. I remember watching Ron when I was younger. He played his entire career with the Leafs, wearing number 8 for the first 5, and then number 6 for 11 more years after Bailey's endorsement. Since then, however, no one else has worn it. The second person to have his number retired is today's subject, Bill Barilko. And the reason reads, well, like a story. Bill Barilko was a 24-year-old defenseman who played his entire 5-year NHL career with the Toronto Maple Leafs. During those years, he was a part of... Okay, are you sitting down, Leaf fans? Yeah. During his 5-year career, he was a part of 4 Stanley Cup championship teams. He never really put up grand scoring numbers. He was more of what we would call an enforcer these days, usually getting close to 100 penalty minutes per season. And this earned him the nickname Bashin' Bill. He was consistent, though. He maintained his place on the team. Throughout his career, Bill actually wore 3 numbers. In his first season, 47-48, he wore number 21. And then from 1948 to 50, he wore number 19. And in the 1950-51 season, he wore number 5. And it was this jersey that was retired in 1951, first honorarily and then permanently in 1962. Now, why? Well, 1950-51 was really an average season for Bashin' Bill. 6 goals, 6 assists, and 96 penalty minutes. But it was the last of his 3 goals in the season that really made the mark. If you go to my site, whorpole.ca, that's whorpole.ca, look over on the left side and you'll see the links for today's show. And you can see a photo of that goal. It was a flying through the air while the puck entered the net type of thing, a scene that would be repeated about 19 years later by Bobby Orr on May 10th, 1970. Bill's goal was on April 21st, 1951, and it gave the Leafs the victory over the Montreal Canadiens, their 9th Stanley Cup. That is not the complete story. Bill, he enjoyed his summer. Close to the end of it, before planning on rejoining the team, he went on a fishing trip with his dentist, like we all do, I suppose. They traveled to Rupert House, now known as Washkagonish. That's a Cree community in northern Quebec, and then made their return home to Porcupine Lake. They had such cool names back then. Porcupine Lake is now known as Timmins, Ontario. And by all accounts, it was a successful outing. As they were returning home, the plane, loaded down with their haul of fish, went down just north of Cochrane, Ontario, and neither of the men survived. The thing is, no one knew what had happened to them. After exhaustive searches, they were just simply declared missing. For 11 years, no one found them, or the plane. For 11 years, after winning 4 in 5 years with Barilko, the Leafs did not win another Stanley Cup. The wreckage of the plane was discovered by helicopter. The pilot's name was Ron Boyd, and this happened on June 7th, 1962. 6 weeks earlier, on April 22nd, 1962, 11 years and 1 day after they last won, Dick Duff scored what became the winning goal in a victory over the Chicago Blackhawks and the Leafs had their 10th Stanley Cup. Incidentally, the assists on that goal went to the captain, Chief George Armstrong, and defenseman Tim Horton, who was born only 3 years after Bill. Bill Barilko is buried in his hometown of Timmins, Ontario. 40 years after his death, on December 16th, 1991, Canadian rock group the Tragically Hip reignited the memory of the all-too-young Leaf star with a tribute song, 50 Mission Cap, which they played for a live audience in Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, where Barilko's final goal was scored. I'll leave a link to that as well, to their video, on my website and at podbean.com. To this day, that song remains a part of the Leafs pregame playlist. You know, they're always, you may not see it on TV, but they always, run music and they skate laps around the rink. And it's this playlist that includes that song, 50 Mission Cap, when they play at home. And the Leafs have a framed, handwritten copy of the Gord Downie pen song in their private lounge at Scotiabank Arena. And when Gord Downie died on October 17th, 2017, the Leafs incorporated Barilko's retired jersey banner, one of many that hangs in the arena now, into the tribute for the musician. From that point on, attitudes really began to change in the Toronto Maple Leaf organization. Those of us who followed them for many years lament the terrible, terrible treatment that the players were given. And not complaining. I mean, they're millionaires, right? But honestly, they did get a bad rap, and we're not treated at all well. But then, at that point, the team began to realize that their history was and is as important as their present players are. In 2016, the team honored 16 other players with the retirement of their numbers. Let's see, there's, a lot of these names you're going to recognize. Number 93, Doug Gilmour. Number 27, for 2 players, Daryl Sittler and Frank Mahovlich. Number 21, Borja Salming. Number 17, Wendell Clark. Number 14, and this is the one that stuck for a while because Dave Keon did not have a very good relationship with previous heads of the team. And when things started to happen again, his was actually one of the first numbers to be recognized and retired. Let's see, number 13, Matt Sundin. Number 10 went to Sil Apps and Captain Chief George Armstrong. Let's see, number 9 was Ted Kennedy and Charlie Conacher. Number 7, there's number 7, King Clancy and Tim Horton. Let's see, number 4, Hap Day and Red Kelly. And this is why you never see number 1 playing for the Leafs anymore, Turk Broda and Johnny Bauer. If you'd like to contribute to the podcast, perhaps with an intro like Agnes did today, please send me a recording of you saying, "This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada." And you can email that to me at whorpole.ca. Or, and this is one of those newer things I've got started, if you'd like to monetarily contribute to my cause, you can buy me a coffee. You can find a link on the website, whorpole.ca, or at podbean.com. It'll be up in the right corner, and it may or may not be a big yellow icon, but it will say, buy me a coffee, and you can throw me a few dollars, and with that, I will use to help maintain the equipment that I use to produce this podcast, or for other things that I will be able to do to bring you many more podcasts or other production ideas that I have in mind. Canada, as I see it, is a production of the Fireside Chat Club of Canada, and the music you're listening to now and at the beginning is Night Owls by Braden Deal. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. I will talk to you again next week.